Hello everyone, and welcome back. Today, let's go over exactly what and how you need to pull in Neltharion's Lair in order to complete your Mythic Plus. This is skipping as much as you can while still completing the 100% of enemy forces. So the first thing that we're going to go over is the fact that when you're pulling these Scorpids, there are these Crocolisk nearby, and it helps you if you pull them. Now, if you have a Mythic Plus affix like Necrotic, something that needs to fall off, you might want to stagger your pulls, but here it's just Sanguine, so I start pulling them immediately, and they're going to give you a few extra percentage points that you're going to need in the end. It's a lot better to pull these Crocolisk because they're easy to kill, do low damage, than it is to have to pull an extra Scorpid or an extra Pelter at the end. So again, I take this path a little bit more to the left so that I can get these two Crocolisk, and they are going to help out. Something else to note with these worms right here, whenever they come up, as soon as they're trying to dig down, stun them and they won't move. Now, here are a few really good percentages that you should know. The cave right before Rancid Maw, everything in there needs to be pulled, there are no optional pulls, and that whole cave gives you 15%. Now, right after Rancid Maw to the boss, pulling the minimum amount of things we can pull, we end up getting 20.91%. What this means is that right before you walk into the Rancid Maw cave, you should have 64% enemy forces cleared. If you have any less than that, you're going to have to pull more mobs once you get up to the last boss. So you're going to have to pull at least 2 optional pulls. The first optional pull here, you see me body pull these Pelters right before I jump off. They are one of the optional pulls, and the optimal way to pull them is to body pull them and run up to the boss. It's going to allow you to start doing the RP, and while the RP is happening, you're actually going to be able to do damage on them and get some more percentage. So it's a little bit less downtime just because of the RP that goes on. Some of the other optional pulls is this pull right here, right after the boss. This pull you don't necessarily need to do, but again, we want to do at least 2 optional pulls to complete our enemy forces. I do like doing this pull just because if you run on the other side of the Pelter, you'll be fine. Now, the other optional pull is this Pat right here. You don't get to see him too much here on this screen, so that Pat is definitely an optional pull as well. The other optional pull that we do see is right before that Hulk over on the right hand side. We do have another mob, and that optional pull will also get us some percentage. The last optional pull before we even get to the cave is these mobs right here, right after the boss. They are optional. They do hit kind of hard. Now, let's go over what pulls I deem as necessary so that we're all on the same page as how you're going to get the 64% that you need. This guy right here, sometimes people CC him and bypass him. I do see him as a little bit more necessary, especially because not every group can bypass him. This Hulk, I don't think you should invis past and walk past him. I do think that this is necessary, and I do count this as part of the core percentage. One thing to note, as soon as the Hulk is going to cast Shatter, stun him and it'll interrupt that cast time. Also, this complete room right before this boss fight, I deem as completely necessary. I don't pull the mob that's inside of the cave, but everything else, including the Elemental Geode, I do deem as necessary, and I do pull that. And always remember to face everything away from the group, and the Hulks need to be stunned. One thing to know about the boss, if you do have Tyrannical, it's very important to keep active mitigation up, especially when the Sunder effect is going to go on you. This Sunder effect is going to hurt really hard, and if you have Tyrannical, that physical mitigation you're going to be getting is going to be very important. Something else that I would really strongly consider is pulling all 5 of these Crocolisk. That's going to give you a total of 9.10%, which is very easy to get. So that's almost 10% by just pulling Crocolisk. These 2 pulls I do deem as necessary. The first 2 people here, and going to the left you do get one of these Scorpids. Again, I do deem these necessary and part of the core. One thing to note about the Scorpids, as soon as they're going to cast Frenzy, so that you actually interrupt the Frenzy cast and they don't actually get frenzied. So the last 2 pulls you should be doing are these Scorpids here and the other ones on the other side. Now with this group, unfortunately, I wasn't able to pull all the Crocolisk, so we are lacking 3% at the end. So we do pull some of the mobs right behind me to make up for that percentage. So if you don't walk into the Rancid Maw cave with 64%, be aware that you are going to need to do some of those extra pulls right by the last boss. Last thing to note about the last boss, you can stun the ad that he summons in order to help your DPS cleave with the boss and that ad. Something else to note is to always save your active mitigation for Molten Crash. If you don't have the necessary build in order to have 100% uptime on your active mitigation, it is very, very important that you save it for the Molten Crash, or else it'll knock you around the room. Every time this boss takes a step, it's AoE damage on everyone. I hope that helps. That's the quickie guide to Neltharion's Lair Mythic Plus. So again, make sure you pull 2 of the optional pulls that I mentioned. They are right before the waterfall, right after the first boss, the pat that's near a scout, the hulking ad. Right after the second boss, you have the snail racers. And right before the last boss, you do have that area behind him where you can actually pull those as well. So remember, pull 2 of those and the core and you should be fine. So thank you guys for watching. And as always, good luck out there.